Good afternoon. My name is Paul Lawali, President and CEO of Friends of Youth. It's with deep regrets and an overabundance of caution that we made the decision to cancel the 15th anniversary of our Celebration of Youth event. However, through technology and innovation, at a time when our community is saddened, is grieving, and is anxious because of the coronavirus, we will celebrate and recognize youth and community in a different medium. Today, we're going to engage in a conversation with two of my favorite people in Seattle. Favorite because, like you, who's joined in, are indeed friends of youth. But before we meet them, I would love to share with you a key statistic from the Health and Human Services Department. Consider this. 1 in 10 young adults between the ages of 18 to 25 and 1 in 30 youth between the ages of 13 to 17 in America today spend an unaccompanied night homeless. That's 1 in 10 and 1 in 30. That estimates to about 4.2 million people. Let me put that in context. 4.2 million people. The entire Seattle metropolitan area is roughly about 3.9 million people. Friends of Youth, for over 70 years, has been driven by a mission of working with youth and their families to provide them with the relationships, the resources, and the skills they need to attain personal growth and success. For 15 years, the Celebration of Youth event has been the platform that we have friend-raised and fundraised in order to make sure we can meet this mission. Today, we will do it in a somewhat different way. I hope, as we listen to the conversation, we will engage in our own conversations with our friends, with our families, with our supporters and our partners to help Friends of Youth meet that mission in a very different, challenging time where we can't gather like we have done for 14 years. It is now my pleasure to introduce, as I said, my two favorite people in Seattle, just like all of you, two Friends of Youth, Shen and Doug Baldwin.
Paul, thank you. And Doug, thank you for giving some time today to Friends of Youth. We appreciate it. I wanted to just talk a little bit about your time here in Seattle. When you retired, you obviously could have chosen anywhere to live, but you did decide to stay here in the Seattle area. And I was just curious why.
Well, all the roots are here, right? Like I've been here for almost 10 years now. And when you grow up in an organization like the Seahawks, which has such a profound impact on the community, and together we were able to bring a championship here, right? You can set some roots, right? And the community itself has been overwhelmingly welcoming and inviting, and they opened their arms to me when I first got here, and now I'm raising a family here and giving back to the community that gave so much to me when I first got here.
Well, and you are giving back to this community. I know that you have a really special passion project that you're working on, the Family First Community Center in Renton. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to create this community center and how it connects to youth and their needs in King County.
Yeah, so the backstory of this is I grew up on the back end of the Salvation Army back in Pensacola, Florida, and the community center there was tremendous in my upbringing as a child, and it still has such a profound impact on me now, right? I still I'm in communication with the coaches and with the volunteers that work there. It was such a huge part of my life. And when I first got here in 2011, myself and Richard Sherman, we lived together in this area, and there was this Mama's Teriyaki shop, right? And we went there all the time, and there was kids that just hung out there all the time. They were doing homework and just hanging around in the lobby. And I just asked them, like, what do you guys do? Where's the fun places to go? Where's the rec center where I can go play basketball? And they said that they didn't have anything in the area. And so just kind of really asking the questions and figuring out what was needed in the area and really wanting to kind of settle down in the area and figure out how I could be impactful to the community. I met with the city and we decided that a community center was a potential to bring to the area.
What's the update on it? I know that people who live in the area are probably hearing this and thinking, I want in there, I want to start using it.
Yeah, so as you know, it's been a long process, and obviously construction is going to take a long process, but we're hoping to break ground at the end of May. There's a whole long process to get there, but our fingers are crossed to hopefully break ground in May.
Do you see a potential for a relationship between Friends of Youth and the community hub? There are such similar goals in serving youth and meeting their needs.
Absolutely. I think, for all the organizations in the area that are doing such great work on the ground floor and trying to impact the youth for a positive change moving forward, there's always going to be that synergy, right? And I think the missions and the values are so aligned that it just makes common sense for us to join forces together to make the most impact that we can.
As you know, Friends of Youth works with at-risk youth and their families. There's a special emphasis on the needs of homeless youth. I'm curious, for people who are listening to you talk about this today, they've tuned in because this is an area that they have some passion as well. Right. Do you have any advice on what they can do to get more involved and to help make an impact?
Well, number one, and I think I say this in any conversation that I have, is you can just be a more empathetic human being, right? I think, if we look at this holistically, all humans are on this planet trying to survive and thrive, right? And if we can look at each other as individuals in that manner, that we all have needs and that we're just trying to make it, maybe we can approach things from a more empathic viewpoint. And in doing so, then we can start looking at organizations that are like-minded in that regard, making sure that we're putting ourselves out there to volunteer, to support those organizations, but also just being a part of the community in the grand scheme of things. And I mean, really that's what it comes down to. There's a number of organizations out there that are doing great work on the ground floor, including Friends of Youth. And so being a part of the community in that regard and giving back is the essential step in supporting the community in that regard.
When someone is thinking about perhaps giving some money to a cause like Friends of Youth, from your perspective, does that really help, like helping to fund those organizations? Because I think sometimes people do wonder, I can't watch my dollars make that difference.
Right. I think it's easy for us to take for granted, right, that even the small dollars, we've had some donations that were $10, $12, and those go a long way because they matter, right? And it's not just the dollar amount. It's also just the involvement of the community. It's just, that support, knowing that, especially us that are working on the back end, trying to get this done, right? There's some days where you feel discouraged at times when, the community is begging for it, is asking for it, and you can't get it soon enough. But when those $10 donations come in, those $12 donations come in, it's incredible encouragement for those that are really working on the ground floor. And so I don't want to take that for granted because it is an important aspect of the donation and the giving portion of us building the campaign. Unfortunately, the Celebration of Youth event was canceled, but the needs of the children is still there. And so all of you who are interested in donating, $250 that you do donate will be matched. So that $250 will turn into $500. And so I'm hoping that through this, we will get some support in that regard.
Yep, makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, DB89. Thank you, Molly. The luncheon was canceled, but our youth still need your help. The Friends of Youth Board and the Walkner Foundation has made a $156,000 challenge pledge to match all donations of $250 or more. Today, your gift of $250 will equal $500 of program and services that move our young people from the streets to stability.